Hey everyone, and welcome to the kit demo. The kit demo, or the game kit, was made by the developer Indices. I see that this developer has a particularly decent portfolio, posting about like 10 or so games, with some of them being most original soundtracks for each game. The description of this one is: left to die in an abandoned wine cellar, Kit recounts his tale of woe. He soon finds, however, that he may not be alone after all. But what led him here? Whose grave is he now joining? Will he make peace with his regrets or succumb to them in his final hours? After all, he can't change his fate now, can he? This is going to be a visual novel style game, and I did see that this is a demo that hasn't been worked on or hasn't been updated since about, I think it was December of last year. But their most recent game is as recent as like 10 days ago, so I'm hoping that, they'll come back to this or whatever. Even though I don't really know what the other games are like. Of course, I'll probably check them out. Anyway, let's get started. I, Christian Alphonse Winter, soon to be free of my life, leave this final record of its course. I pause. The line makes for poor ink, bleeding through the pages and blurring my words, but is legible enough. I rub my icy hands together. I'm trying in vain to stop their shaking. Even at death, something inside me recoils at the thought of opening my veins to fill my pen. I dip the nib once more in the dregs of wine. I leave you the tale of my curse, and all my thoughts, feelings, and actions. But one day, should my corpse be unearthed, someone in some age might grant me the peace of believing in my own innocence. Not that anyone will ever read this once you're gone, Kit, I think to myself, because no one will ever find you here. I fan the pages, careful not to dim the flickering candle that illuminates them, my only companion in this deep and soundless dark. A bitter cold wraps around me like a cloak. Stale air escapes from my shallow lungs. The cellar always seemed so spacious, row upon row of thick shelves proudly displaying any father's prized vintages. My father's, sorry. Now its walls surround me like a tomb, and indeed, for all intent, soon shall be. The heavy oak and iron door behind me is sealed shut, locked, barred, and barricaded for good measure. Every other living soul in the castle has long fled. I've been alone here 3 days, marked as time is impossible to tell by each fitful, exhausting sleep. I pick up the pen and feebly try again to write, though my thoughts are dim and clouded as ink. To you, my unfortunate reader, I bequeath to you a handful of candles, this journal, and one half-empty bottle of wine. The candles were left strewn about, either by a careless servant or errant thief. Both. Fortunately for me, the wine, my only libation here. My state of mind and sobriety are about what you might imagine. The journal I was carrying with me when I was called here. A leather-bound tome embossed with a raven and a birch tree, the crest of my house. Its presence is a small comfort, but one I will take. Time is against me, yet the words still fight me, refusing to form. The aching in my heart threatens to overtake me again, rack my body with sobs, wrest the air from my lungs. It isn't fair. What have I done to deserve this? I have strived to be good all my life, dutiful, diligent, and willing student and heir, a loving son and brother. This is my mercy and reward both. Yet in the other corner of my heart, an old doubt creeps upon me, like ivy on the castle walls, a burden I shouldered through life. In the face of suffering, I was told I should not grieve the hand I was dealt. Yet now, at this reminiscence at my life's end, can I truly convince myself that the world, was wrong about my hand and its tragedies? Can I be guilty by the fact of my own existence? Evidently, I was never a man of strong convictions. I set aside the pages, looking for a distraction from my thoughts. Of course, down here there is no abundance of options. I sigh and begin to stand. Time to take a turn about the cellar for the 100th time. I move slowly, candle in hand, gingerly feeling along the stone walls, casting my faint light upon the rows. I really wonder if a wine cellar can still be called such, stripped of such precious liquid. The walls gape with barren shelves, empty crates left strewn about. Perhaps some prudent members of the household thought it wise not to let the remainder of the family's priceless vintages be buried here with me. Spirits know even Mother couldn't have emptied every last drop alone. The same cannot be said of the few things that remain. Objects of little value, too difficult and cumbersome to carry, or simply missed by opportunistic hands, abandoned here to rot with me. As I walk, I spy a lone bottle lying on its side, with what seems to be stacks of unmarked metal cans. I gingerly pick up the bottle and read the label. It said Amontillado Sherry, a favorite of Mother's. My brain sometimes will just read things backwards. Like, instead of son and brother, I said brother and son. It works, who cares? The cans appear unlabeled and haphazardly stacked. They're also all, unfortunately, empty. Pick one up and tap it. It rings hollow. Perhaps the kitchen staff was lacking in space. Regardless, I move on. Further on, I spy an old painting and Chris's phonograph tucked away on a shelf. As if my feet have a mind of their own, I shuffle closer. The painting is a landscape done in oils, depicting the castle and lake surrounding it. Recall it was painted long before even my grandfather was born. There should have something like that around. Mother always said it was rather gloomy. It was likely her taste that sealed its fate. That is, of being sealed away in some forgotten corner here. Well, I suppose she isn't wrong. Lakes, seas, and fog are rare subjects for landscapes, reminiscent as they are of the other shore. This one in particular is a fine piece, faithfully capturing the rolling mists of Castle Winter, but I turn away, unwilling to gaze at it further. Not due to any strong agreement with Mother's artistic sentiments, but because I need no further reminder of why I've been locked here. And this. I never imagined I would see this here again, of all places. Oh, nice. It's a sturdy, hand-tuned wax cylinder phonograph, imported far away at great cost. It's a sturdy, Though covered in dust, the wood is smooth and polished, and the brass horn glints against my candle's light. I briefly considered using it to record my story instead of the journal's wine-soaked pages, but there are no recording cylinders stored within it. And neither do I want to look at it for long, let alone touch it. I move on. Finally, I see the outline of what seems to be a large wooden chest. It's made of rough, dark wood, plain and very, very old, larger and more aged than my grandparents' steamer trunk, one that Chris and I would hide in during our childhood games. Coils of rope wrap and tie around it like serpents. I don't recall seeing it here, or anyone in the castle for that matter, before. It could have lain forgotten for decades, even longer, lost behind shelves and crates until someone unearthed it in hopes of ferrying away more of my family's heirlooms. If that is the case, it seems they were forced to abandon the idea. The chest's weight looks considerable. I push against it. It doesn't bulge. Sorry, not bulge. The ropes, though tight, on the other hand, are rotted away in places and look like they could be undone with persistence. Secret family treasures could hardly be advantageous to me in my present circumstances. Yet, though the circumstances are slim, the chest could still hold something of use. A pot of ink that hasn't dried up in the decades since it was hidden, perhaps? Who could say? I decide to. Okay, now we can save. Alright, there we go. Leave it be, but we're gonna attempt to. Why is this in red? Attempt to open it. Why not? This is my family cellar, so naturally it falls under my possession. For very long, of course, but I digress. I Consider my options. Unraveling the ropes would require more finesse than I can imagine. I'm sorry, than I can manage, even had I not required an extra hand for my candle. It could burn the ropes, just as easily set the wooden box itself aflame. What agency I have over the remainder of my life is little, but I would rather not meet a fiery end here. That leaves severing the ropes somehow. Well, I have had the fortune of being locked in a wine cellar. A piece of glass should serve well. I amble back to where I've kept my few belongings and pick up the empty bottle of red. I consider how I might break it without making a mess of things, or myself, and in the end, simply let it fall on the floor. Cautiously, I pick up a large shard and slowly return to the chest, avoiding the sharp, jagged remains of a once priceless vintage. With the candle in one hand, a shard of glass in the other, I cut at the rope millimeter by aching millimeter. Here I am, left to die alone in the cellar. The last sacred act and perhaps greatest accomplishment of my lamentably short life. A bit satisfying my dying curiosity. 1 sec. Okay, good. After spirits know how long, the ropes give way. I pause, letting my hands and shoulders rest. The candle's light flickers out as I crack the lid open. Oof. Cursing, I fumble for a match from my pocket. I'm aware immediately of the echoing beat of my heart in my ears. Hours alone here have done little to assuage the complete and awful dread that comes from finding myself in complete blackness. It is utterly, deeply, despairingly lonely. Slowing my breath to steady myself, I let my eyes adjust to the candlelight. I stare straight back at a human skull. It takes some time for my mind to register. It's difficult to tell at first. Some manner of wooden implements are lodged firmly in its eye sockets, a similar instrument in the mouth. The remainder of the skeleton's remains lie curled up in the box, bones of its hands and feet bound uncomfortably by more rotting rope. A final wooden implement, no, a stake, sharpened like a railway spike, lies in its rib cage, stuck fast. Murder, then. Doesn't that seem a little sus to you? Maybe he doesn't know anything. As I release my held breath, I feel a sharp pain course through my hand. I have gripped the broken glass so tightly it's drawn blood. Oh, I see where this is going. Of all the things I'd imagined, this is not what I dreamed the chest would hold, and yet it lies before me thus. After the initial shock, to retain my composure, I lose myself. I'm gonna save here. We're going to retain the composure this time. Of course, there should be a corpse in a cellar. Why not? Though I wasn't expecting one other than mine. Some part of my mind, I'm aware that at any other time or place I would be horrified. But here now, I can only look at the subject of my grim discovery with a strange sense of camaraderie. Why? The gravity of what is surely is great, deep, terrible family secret, only just uncovered, changes nothing about my present circumstances. None save that, in a morbid sense, I'm no longer alone. I probably feel the same way. Forgive me for disturbing you. I address the bones tiredly. I did not imagine I would share this tomb with another. That stick, jeez. Art direction stick. Curled up in the box, the skeleton looks so fragile, almost delicate. Its bound hands are smaller than my own. Its height would surely only reach my chest standing upright, if that. A woman, or a very young person then. A pang of sympathy rings through me. Somebody has harmed you, and left you to be forgotten. It seems that we share a fate as well. Nowhere in my family history can I recall a soul who went missing, or more sinisterly, one whose body was never found. It is confounding to have such a mystery appear before me with no sliver of hope in solving it. Another question to leave this world without ever answering. A morbid tale with a morbid riddle. Chris, you would love this. Better or for worse, I have found my answer from the box, but now, what do I do with my new cadaverous comrade? I decide to Close the box or pour the skeleton of toast. Come on, you know we're gonna have to pour one out for Naomi. Pour the skeleton of toast. I need to remember these two so I can get whatever other endings there are. I actually don't know how many there are on the page. I should probably... that's fine. It must be some time since you've had a drink. Truthfully, I haven't had an occasion to make a toast these past few years either. I look about for an empty container, then I recall the cans I saw. I return and retrieve one, empty as expected, along with a bottle of sherry. Good health, prosperity, and our new, surely brief friendship. I smile bitterly as I clink the bottle against the half-filled container. May we rest well for eternity. Having drunk my fill of the bittersweet sherry, I retrieve my diary and return my pen to my sordid tale. Oh, I'm so bad at reading. I need to lock in. Christian Alphonse Winter, soon to be free of my life, leave this final record of its course. I leave you the tale of my curse and all of my thoughts, feelings, and actions. One day, should my corpse be unearthed, someone in some age might grant me the peace of believing in my innocence. I was born minutes after my sister, Christina, the bitter winter, 645. My parents thought themselves blessed, a daughter and son at once. Indeed, my earliest memories are of their love and warmth. As a child, I wanted for nothing. As a child, I was ignorant of the state of my family's fortunes. I was aware that I was happy and cared for. I knew not that our family's power had been slowly sapped over decades like a tree stricken with blight. Our territories in Whitehurst, hungrily swallowed by the other great houses. That our household staff, when it was small, was a fraction of its size during my grandfather's boyhood. But the wild fields overrun with foliage surrounding the lake were once grand gardens that hosted gatherings for kings and queens. That my father, like his father before him, could only take bolder and bolder risks in both investments, alliances, and his attempts to restore our power with all the manner and mania of a gambler. For a child, those were uneventful years, but not free of our own worries. As far back as I can remember, Chris loved to frighten me with tall tales, teased from the lips of servants or from forgotten corners of the ancient family library. She was fascinated by things that crept through the night or stalked through the mists, cursed to walk the earth eternal, never to cross the other shore. She was goth. Goth as fuck. I did not think it out of the ordinary when she asked me if I had ever seen something, anything, a shadow or simply a thing. I lurked about, assuming it was yet another ploy to scare me. Yet her voice and manner this time had a gravity to it that did not belie any trickery. I'm not teasing, kid. Do not feel it at times, something watching you, she said. I asked her what she meant. I feel as if something is staring at me and blinking like a vulture waiting to swoop in on its wings. I believed that I ran off and cried, unwilling to listen to any more of this mystery monster that would swoop down and peck at me. She never mentioned it again, but I have every so often seen my sister look over her shoulder with an unsettling mind, as if she were the unwilling object of some gaze I could never sense. My family's fortunes would continue to wane as Chris and I climbed slowly to adulthood. In my 13th year, my father lost his trading vessel at sea. Scarcely any of its value could be recovered, the ship's sudden disappearance so bizarre our auditors could only see it as a poor attempt at fraud. Supposedly, it vanished into mist, and neither ship nor crew were ever seen again. I remember my father's fury those months. Long hours, days and nights at his desk, the endless meetings and shouting matches with his business partners, the shouting matches with mother. The way the very air would grow taut and still when he entered the room, and remain that way even without his presence. If I had been cleverer, more diligent in my studies, perhaps I could have changed things, fixed things, lessened his burdens. I was never as useful as a dull blade to the trunk of a tree. The following year, during a visit to our estate, my cousin Franz was injured in a fencing accident. My aunt, who never seemed to enjoy her visits with us, feeling quite mutual to Chris and myself, flew into a rage, claiming it a consequence of spending any time with so misfortunate a family. I recall feeling a little guilty, wishing it meant she would cease her visits for a while. My aunt and cousin were never kind to me. Bones would tackle me or pull on my hair, but when I could only stare at him in loathing, he taunted me for looking like a vulture. Ugly. My locks a mess about my face, blue eyes staring hard ahead lest I break with tears. My dear cousin, I'm sorry for your fate, but should now seal mine as well. What happened to him? My hand shakes, and I cannot tell if it is the cold, the alcohol, or rage. I thought myself at peace with my fate. Well, it seems the mind is fickle. I stare at the pages with equal amounts of weariness and disgust. Why must I perform this farce of final rites for myself? Cease this, except that no one will light a candle for me, nor pray for the mists of other shore to part from my soul. If I could not control my fate in life, what of death? Wraith, spirit, demon, what have you. I cannot be sane to give a lick of credence to fairy tales, but for a moment I wish with all the venom in my heart that they might be true. The living will still live, walk beneath the glorious sun, live and breathe and smile and dance while I lie cold in a cellar. I bury my head in my arms to rest my sight a moment, but exhausted from the mental effort, drift off into nothingness. This is some good writing. Like, they said they were inspired by Poe. Yeah, it's pretty obvious, but this is just good. Sometimes dialogue and visual novels can seem a little corny, but I don't know, I mess with this like a lot. Sorry, one sec. I'm gonna take a sip of water for my bad voice acting voice. Like, I don't like reading this much, but I like visual novel games. They're so cool. They're so good. The rain is ceaseless, pouring. The candles we quite obviously forego. The flowers will be ruined swiftly as well. And it looked clear an hour prior. Bad luck again, of course. It matters little to me. My feet are planted in the mud, but I feel as a ghost at once present and distant from this somber entourage. I look for Chris, not with me beneath my umbrella, wondering if she's warm. Chris is not here. Every time I'm forced to remember is a knife in my heart. Chris is not here. Voice rings out distantly, but I pay it little attention. We pray for this soul to find peace, our beloved daughter, sister, friend. May she be guided through the mists to paradise eternal. I feel a gloved hand squeeze my arm, more for its owner's support than mine. Mother holds a bouquet of lilies in one arm and tugs at me with the other. I follow obediently, wielding the umbrella as a shield while she kneels by the water, scattering the white flowers over its surface. Voices whisper like the wispy murmuring of insects. Cold. They did say he was aloof. Not even a tear for his sister. What a pitiable family. Eee! How could they know? How could they know that the kid that stands in the mud before them is an empty shell, unable to cry, or laugh, or scream, broken, his heart gone along with you? It's because people are just shitty and judgmental. I don't think you're supposed to react the way they want you to, you know? Otherwise, you're not human. Something white catches my eye. At first, I think it's a stray lily, but it billows like curtains. Like a woman's white dress. I drop the umbrella. I wade deep into the lake, ignoring the torrent of rain, the startled cries. Soon I can no longer hear them, nor feel the cold of the water. I am no longer by the lake. Everything is blackness around me. But she is still there, a specter in white. Ooh, okay. Save again. You save at every decision. Chris, who are you? I don't know what I want to do here. I think I might go with Chris first. Just because narratively speaking, it would kind of make sense to think that way, right? Like at the funeral. So we're just going to go ahead with that. Chris, I shout. The figure is indistinct, her image swirling and shifting before me like a mist. I can see her eyes. I can't see if she's who I hope, fear she is. She does not move her mouth. I hear her voice all the same. It's familiar, but I cannot be sure if it's hers. It's so distant and faint, cracked and crumbling like sand. Kit, begin. We only have so many. Chris, is it you? Wait! But she too melts away before I am given an answer, and I return to the blackness once more. Something warm. That once was warm. I hold it in my hands. Sticky. Slick. The beating stops. I know no feeling, no sensation save numbness. Are you cold? I break slowly. Languidly? Is that how you said that word? I break slowly, languidly through the edge of wakefulness, returning to the pitch blackness of reality in an empty cellar. I fumble for a candle, clumsily light it, hands shaking terribly. I reach for my journal and think about igniting it, watching the words burn away to nothing while I curl against the wall. Close my eyes and hope to never wake again. It'd be so easy to simply give in. Walk into oblivion without memory, without resistance. Damn the miss, damn eternity. As I turn the pages absently, my candle flickers over an inscription in a familiar hand. Dear Kit, I do hope you plan to use this. Journaling is a proper habit. I want no excuses when you leave me alone to go off to university. Surely your classes will not be so stimulating or dreadful that you forget to write your older sister. With love, Chris. I miss you so much. I could have swapped places with you. Crossed the mists of that distant shore instead. I would have in a moment without hesitating a breath. I know that if I am to find my way to you, and the paradise beyond the mist, I cannot pass with this stain on my soul without holding fast to my innocence. I must not let my fate drive me to madness and revelment, nor leave my task unfinished and risk my spirit to wander all of eternity. With a heavy sigh, I set my pen to the pages once more. The years following were mired by more accidents and misfortunes. A portion of the castle wall collapsed, narrowly missing my father and one of the gardener's viola. We had no funds for the repair, and the entire section was simply walled off. Mother's maladies worsened as time went by. Some days she seemed her usual bright-spirited and amiable self. On others, she would be unable to leave her room, laying abed, afflicted with an unending fatigue. Father's extensive trips outside the estate meant her care fell to Chris and myself. The doctors could never unravel her mystery illness. The mere mention of holidaying in warmer climes of her health brought only her vehement refusal to be parted from us. She would often take a draught to soothe herself instead. I could not help but let my thoughts stray toward my parents. Where are they now? Are they safe? Does Mother remain at Father's side? Did he abandon her as well? Despite all, I know he would not let her come to harm. Or would he? Is he regretful at all? His constant betrayals of her faith? What a fate he's now left to me. All of a sudden, I pity them more than I do myself, subverting nature's course, burying another child, as they feel. Well, I'll never get to know. But after all, I blame them. That was interesting. Was that like supposed to be a representation of like his darker thoughts or whatever? Playful ones? Well, I'll never get to know. Like I'll never have to find out what they think because I'll just be dead. They had no choice. I failed them. I failed them. I feel like if we did I failed them, it would just go into hardcore self-loathing. Like he might blame himself for Chris's death a little bit more and whatever else might come up. But I don't really feel that's just to him, though I don't know everything about his character yet. So I'm gonna say they had no choice. This way, it almost seems like a mistake. So we'll see. We'll see. World to an impartial eye, this is my just ending, the punishment I've rightly earned. Ah, he still did it anyway. Even were my parents to believe in my innocence, they do. The king himself would settle for naught but my blood. They still entombed you in a cellar. Yeah, that sounds like it's reason, right? Like that's like logical. Anyway, I set down my pen, close my eyes, and rest my shoulders. Everything hurts. What was that? I said sorry. I sit sharply upright, wondering if I've nodded off, caught in a dream or a nightmare. Pain that courses through my body reminds me I am not. Footsteps. Echoing. Here. Not in my imagination. One split fraction of a second, a faint hope dares to swell inside me. That father's conscience has rested his heart. That despite all, he has forgiven me and come for my release. And I bury it just as quickly. The steps sound from within the cellar before me, not without. Oh, what a terrifying situation. The oak and iron door is as shut fast as it was before. There is no room for hope in this heart. There may be room, however, for fear. The steps are loud, yet indistinct, as if from a distance, but sound very near. Impossible for a rat to make. If any remain to scurry here, then Chris's words echo. I am not teasing, kid. Do you not feel it at times? Something watching you? Spirits help me. Whatever it might be, I look around frantically for something I might arm myself with. It's by the chest with its unfortunate inhabitant. The wicked stakes piercing its skull glare out viciously. Dare I? Ooh, okay. Getting more. We're doing a lot of saving here. Okay. Use the piece of glass. Use the stake. So when I said that, you can kind of see where this is going. It seems like he cut his hand, right? Before, on the shard of glass, I think he did, at least. I don't know if I'm remembering incorrectly. But it's like, oh, okay, well, if they use the stakes, maybe it's like a vampire thing, right? And if he uses a stake, maybe some blood will get on it or whatever. And if I pull the stake out, whoever this is might just, like, wake up or whatever. So I feel like this would be the more interesting choice. We're gonna go with use a stake. Swallowing, I pull at the stake that looks the loosest, the one in his jaw. Comes out with less resistance than I expected. Gripping it tightly, I inch toward the sound. Closer and closer. Louder and louder. Coarser and coarser. My own muffled steps ring in line with whatever the phantom footsteps belong to. A macabre dance. That's it. Again from the start. Step, slide, and step. Turn a bit more. Okay, stand closer. Mother? Must I? My own disembodied voice calls out from the depths of the cellar, yet nothing lies before me but an empty shelf. Chris's phonograph, playing on its own. Step, slide, step of dance shoes across the music room floor. I'm back. Is it my turn? Oh, spirits, who left this recording? That's it. Again from the start. Step, slide, and step. Turn a bit more. Kit, stand closer. Must I? I have been practicing dance steps all morning. The polka, the mazurka, and now the waltz, or so they're called. For me, they are a confusing jumble of movements mixing themselves in all manner in my memory. My feet, legs, arms, and shoulders all ache. I'm back. Is it my turn? Oh, these are great sprites. Oh, spirits, who left this recording? Chris struts over to the phonograph. Recording. That's why I didn't play any music. I thought it was broken. Kit, I told you not to touch it. I hardly have any cylinders left and you've wasted another. The wax ones? I thought you had a whole crate. No, somehow they sent us a box full of empty containers by mistake. It'll be months before another shipment arrives. I didn't realize. Sorry, Chris. She sighs but softens her expression. It's alright. Here, to listen back, you change the stylus like this. See? Then you slide on the cylinder you've already recorded, like this. She deftly fiddles with the wood and metal contraption, then reaches for a canister piled neatly in the cupboard. Let's see. Find that waltz that Kit was playing on the piano, dear. Absolutely not. Kit, it's only for practice. It's not finished, and my playing is utterly horrific. God, I felt that. Sorry, I play music too, and it's like, sometimes you're just so nasty on yourself. I definitely do that all the time. You can practice here and now, Christian Alphonse, or we can have you take lessons from your Aunt Rosamund. Oh, very well. I sigh, defeated. I take my place next to Mother as the recording starts. I can hardly concentrate as the thin and elegant notes of the piano are played back to me. I stumble over Mother's foot. Oh dear. Here, let me. Mother gives a relieved expression as Chris takes her place and gently corrects my form, just the placement of my weary limbs. Just relax, kid. I can't. It's even worse. If you make a fool of yourself now, dear, it'll save you the embarrassment later. Horrible, the both of you. Yet, with Chris calmly guiding me, reminding me of the steps and making quick corrections, I do begin to relax. With the third playing of the awkward tune, I finally have some semblance of a grasp on the dance. The phonograph lies silent. This damned thing should make a fool out of me once more. I relax my grip on the wooden stake and nearly laugh aloud at the sheer relief and shame. Perhaps I was right. It really is broken. How else should it play on its own? I swear there was no cylinder affixed to it, but I have never had any finesse with such contraptions. And doubtless my mind is beginning to play tricks on itself after being trapped here for so long. I realize suddenly it's the first time I've heard her voice in nearly 3 years. I land the phonograph up again, shaking fingers gripping the carved wooden handle like death. I cannot help it. Once more, I wait for the terrible and awkward noise of my footsteps, Mother's instructions and my own short protests to end until finally her words return. I'm back. Is it my turn? Oh, spirits, who left this recording? Annoyed, scolding me, true. To lecture me about every single minutia of my faults. You could tell me you hated me, despised me, if it meant I could speak with you, even just once more. My sister. My Shayla. I stand there, soaking in the memory for some time. Finally, I return my gaze to the phonograph. Let's make sure you don't make quite so much noise again, I say as I awkwardly pry the wax cylinder off the device. I examine the contraption again. It is strange. Everything that lies here is cloaked in years of disuse, yet on the object before me the dust is nowhere as thick. The phonograph in my memory was shining and new. It was Chris's birthday gift from that solstice 3 years ago. She never had long to use it, and none of us touched it after she had gone. Yet here it looks well worn, reused and replayed through the years. Who would be creeping down here to play the sound of footsteps over and over? Why? Or were they, like me, only seeking to hear her voice? But if so, why keep it buried in the cellar and not someplace closer at hand? I sink down on the floor. My head sings with pain. This mystery does not help. I would die for a drink right now. Where was that bottle of sherry? I must have left it by my bony friend after sharing a toast. Oops. I make my way shakily back to the chest where the skeleton rests, its lifeless wooden stake still in my hand. Forgive me for borrowing this earlier, I say as I set the stake down beside the chest, though I'm sure it wasn't very comfortable for you where it was prior. I settle down by the box and locate the empty can I've used as a makeshift cup. I'll drink your share now, my friend. Spirits know I need it more than you do. I raise the can to my lips. It's empty. Uh-oh. Bone dry. Not a drop of Amontillado. That's it. Did I drain the skeleton's shell already and forgotten? Well, it seems there's no denying it. I am going mad. I fumble around the chest and locate the half-empty bottle, pouring myself another portion. This one is only for me, my friend. I set the drink down with a soft clink. The sherry does not ameliorate much. The slightly warming numbness is welcome all the same. Allowing myself a moment of rest, I close my eyes. When I open them, they fall on the chest once again. A chill runs through me despite the remnants of the sherry's effects. An incredibly foolish thought forms in my head as the skull blinks into focus before me. What if I hadn't emptied the bottle and spilled the skeleton's can and forgotten I did? What if something else had? What if... Stop. Stop. You do not have time for this, kid. You've a sorry tale to write and a burial to complete. Your own. You are not dying with rites half finished. But would it hurt to check? To settle this strange unease now, once and for all, lest it consume my remaining thoughts. Ignore the idea, let the bones rest, examine the bones thoroughly. Obviously, we're going to hit the save on page 2. Ignore the idea, let the bones rest, but, you know, we need the plot to thicken. Examine the bones thoroughly. Although, I will say, this is such a good job of, like, demonstrating how, like, scary this could be, right? Like, imagine if nothing happened. I don't even know what's gonna happen, if I'm being real with you. I'm just assuming, like, this is some vampire with a stake in it, and shit's gonna get goofy. Like, imagine actually just sitting down here, doing this. Like, if nothing happened throughout this game, you would still be creeped out, right? Like, I'd be creeped out too. Examine the bones thoroughly. That's what we're gonna do. I'm not gonna ignore the bones. I have to know. Even if it was only a fit of my imagination and I am a fool, I cannot continue until I satisfy this with some answer. I get on my knees and feel around the chest first, looking for a spill. The most logical explanation, even though I found the can right side up the way I'd placed it. Finding nothing, and unsure if it is to my disappointment or expectation, I turn to the skeleton. Old bones, worn ropes, rotting, jagged wood. Its stake stuck fast in its eye sockets. The skull cannot be said to look outward. I feel as if it does, as if the empty hollows that once held eyes lock in on my own. Forgive me, this will only take a moment, I say, unsure exactly of whom I'm reassuring. I lean in close for a better look. The skull gapes out, jaw parted as if drawing breath. The bones are still. It's my own hand's shaky movements fooling my vision. It's the cellar's cold. I take a breath and look on. It is difficult to tell. I am no expert in osteology, but its teeth appear sharp and jagged now that I examine them up close. A result of its decay, surely. Grimacing, I reach my hand to the bottom of the chest. My fingers brush solid wood and frayed scraps of some sort of fabric. Remnants of a garment that the skeleton once wore when it was alive, perhaps. Finding nothing else, I quickly retract my hand. This concludes my search. Nothing unusual. At least, nothing more unusual than a corpse appearing in a box in a cellar. I sigh in frustration at my own lapse in reason. After all, even if, somehow, the lifeless bones should have gotten up and moved about, its hands and limbs still remain bound. Despite my findings, the unease in my heart fails to leave me, the pit in my stomach gnawing only deeper. Why? I don't have an answer. Suddenly aware of the skeleton's gaze, I uncomfortably turn away. I regret that I let my childish doubts get the better of me. I say, my voice low and thin. Why do I bother to apologize to a corpse that I've established is no more or less than an ordinary corpse, a pile of bones in a box? My mind is not quite well, to say the least. Giving the chest a final look, I carefully tuck the sherry away and return at last to my journal. The year Chris and I turned 18 was blessedly peaceful, save for late summer when I began my studies at the capital. The mix of emotions within me was indescribable. I felt something like a fledgling shed of its down, spreading its strange new wings for flight. Though I had traveled plenty with father, seeing the great lands and cities of our neighbors, Whitehurst was all I truly knew. Mother and father, Castle Winter, Chris were all I knew. It was uneasy to be parted from my twin, the first time in our lives, to say the least. Of course, of all the people to come with me to university, there could be none other than my dear cousin Franz, or I him, as he played. He wasted no time trying to frame me as a pariah, exaggerating the rumors that swirled around House Winter. But thankfully, neither subtlety or persuasion were over in his graces. That which is dangerous tends to attract attention, for good or typically ill. Keeping cool at Franz's ravings, I found myself with a popularity I never asked for nor expected. Quite to my cousin's dismay, despite the excitement, all interest in me died down soon enough, reduced to the usual whispers, and I found myself with few friends as before. What's up this whispering in our ear? Returning home for the winter holiday after a flurry of those restless months was a relief, and just in time for an unforgettable solstice festival. My parents had saved for years to host a grand ball for our coming of age. A bit old-fashioned, but a tradition of the great families to which we belonged, our reduced status notwithstanding. It was one of the happiest and most bitter days of my life. It was then that I first learned heartbreak, and in the smiling faces of my family and my joy in seeing Chris revel in her spotlight, I was content. I knew that celebrating together this way would be difficult as we grew older still, and paths before us diverged, and so I treasured it. I cannot imagine it would be the last. Eh, eh. Something was happening right there. How much have you had? You look like you'll topple over. The glass. Ugh, how can you drink that much and be fine? It isn't fair. You're a beast. You're just a lightweight. Shall I fetch some water? No, no. I just need fresh air. Before I go back in there to dance with the umpteenth Lord so-and-so, eligible bachelor from such and such. Chris. Oh, I'm sorry, Kat. It's not that I haven't been enjoying myself. I don't remember the last time we had a ball, but you know that father and mother would never make you marry someone you didn't want to. We live in the modern age, Chris. Chris looks out over the balcony, over the gardens toward the lake, sighing. I know that. But I know that it's within my power to change things for us too. You can't be a sheltered little girl forever. You don't have to live your life for anyone else. Just live it as you see fit. Besides, you aren't alone in this. The person I marry will become the next Countess of Whitehurst. And I am not optimistic there exists a lady who meets even the most modest of father's expectations. Father's expectations? What was that about living the life as you see fit? Oh! Okay. Let's see. Duty comes before happiness. I don't need romance to be happy. I don't know if I want to marry. I don't deserve happiness. Four options here. If I say duty comes before happiness, what was the thing that she said before? Follows expectations. Hold on, living life as you see fit. Okay, hold on. I don't need romance to be happy. Kind of how I feel now. I'll say this. We'll go with I don't need romance to be happy. I turned my gaze to the night sky, blue as ink, speckled with lonesome stars. I never said I needed romance to live as I see fit. If I can fulfill my duty, have someone to support me while doing so, then that is enough. I don't know if I want this answer, actually. Let me go back. Because if he's saying that he doesn't want romance to be happy, and he's saying you don't need it in your life, and he is going down the duty route no matter what, right? Duty comes before happiness. It seems like it would be the same. If I want to marry, that's probably what I would say. I don't know if I want to marry, so sorry, we're gonna go with this one. I don't know if I want to marry. I shift away. unsure if I could ever let myself feel that way about someone, or if I would want to. In some ways, it's more relief to think of marriage as a transaction, exchange of powers, and be done with it. You're just saying that because Lady Anya refused to dance with you in front of the entire room, are you? I admit I felt as though my soul briefly departed my body then, but no. I have had these feelings for some time. Chris slightly touches my arm. You don't have to end up like father and mother, you know. You could meet someone wonderful, and it could stay wonderful for your whole lives. It's true. I turned my gaze to the night sky, blue as ink, speckled with distant stars. The full moon shining low and lonesome. I know. It seems like a dream. Sensing my need for distraction, Chris quickly changes the subject. Did you see earlier? Franz accidentally spilled his entire glass on Lady Margaret's dress. I'm glad I did not. For if I were in the room, he would surely have blamed me for his bad luck. A sudden night chill accompanies the final strains of the Marzika, circa from the ballroom. As I glance inside, I catch a glimpse of white. White like a gentle snow amidst the vivid garden of colorful jewels and gowns. Chris, did you see that? See what? Oh, stop. You're pretending you see a ghost, aren't you? How many heads does it have? Limbs, chains, bloody bandages? The figure in white glides more and then walks across the floor. Her gown shimmering like the sun up on a frozen waters beneath the chandeliers. Locks of her hair roll in silvery waves. I can think of no word to describe her, save breathtaking. Then she stops, as if waiting for something. Someone. Suddenly, in a way I cannot fully describe, I am drawn two ways at once. Atop a balcony deep in the night, I face the brightness of a ballroom mere steps from where I stand. A threshold between light and dark, the body at its boundary. The ballroom is incandescent, wild and bright, a place emptied nearly all my life. It never lived its purpose until tonight. The fullness of its light and life is strange, but not unwelcoming. Rather, the warmth it offers, the laughter and music and candles, entices. And yet, the darkness outside is familiar, but darkness it cannot truly be called, lit with a brilliant moon and an endless sea of stars. Far away, cold in their distance, steadfast and gentle, never harsh, never casting down their judgment. The night wraps around me, accepts me. Its embrace is what I know. I'm unsure of how long I stand at the threshold. Time feels like a dream, a scene I can swear I am looking down upon while I know just as surely that I live and walk within it. Finally, I follow the figure or stay on the balcony. Stay here? I'm curious as if like the multiple choice one, the four answers would just lead you back to this point anyway. Like maybe it's not as like important or divisive as I think it is. Follow the figure or stay on the balcony. We're gonna follow the figure because we need the drama. One moment, Chris. I'll be back. Enjoy your dance with your ghost kid, she says with a wave. My sister. We weave through the dancers, taking their places on the floor, moving around me as if I'm not there, as if I am the phantom come from the dark, intruding on this bright and dazzling space. The figure reaches towards me expectantly as the first notes of the waltz ring out. Some force, whether from within me or without, I do not know, draws my hand towards hers. Step, slide, step, as the waltz begins. I gaze at her, but I cannot make out her face. At her waist, I feel nothing in my hands, as if I'm grasping mist. Step, slide, step. Around me, the dancers move and twirl to the music. The sounds of footsteps upon the marble floor feel far, far away, drifting and faded. Step, slide, step. Forgive me. I feel as if I know you, are the words I finally think to say. You know who I am? Well, of course, this is Castle Winter, and it is my sister's celebration. I've never met you before, or met you here. This isn't the waltz that was played last night. I never danced with you. Never danced with anyone that final hour. Music from the ballroom fades from the long, slow notes of the string quartet to choppy, inelegant, yet all too familiar piano keys. The piece I had begun to write, discarded. The melody and chords too clumsy, awkward, as a trunk trying to dance in waist-deep water. I desperately wanted to present it to Anya, but neither had I the will to finish, nor did my desired partner want anything to do with me. The memory of that night unshrouds, becomes clearer. I never joined the final waltz. Those aching hours of practice to test. Sorry, put those to test. Painful rejection after I mustered the courage all evening to ask for one dance. My face frozen like a statue. The cacophony of whispers. Walking out to the balcony, Chris's comforting words resuscitated my mood, but I still avoided the ballroom floor. Mother's charging. What? Chagrin? Chagrin. Oh, that's how you say that. Chagrin. I've never seen that word spelled out before. Why does this version of that night feel so real? As if I am living it again. Why does the regret of those memories seem to melt away like snow as I perform the waltz anew? Step, slide, step. My partner gracefully moves and slides in time with me, more elegant than a ballerina, unfettered and free. She seems familiar with the music, almost intimately so, more deeply than I ever could, despite being its so-called composer. As she spins and turns, her lips nearly brush my neck, close enough to whisper in my ear. Are you? I murmur first. She seems content not to answer, perhaps intends on teasing me. Step, slide, step. I find myself smiling with something close to pure joy. The sorrows of the past a mere memory, candles flicker compared to this burning flame of new, unknowable emotions. It is a feeling wholly foreign to me. I embrace it. I wish I could drink it like wine. A drink of you. Are your thoughts one with mine? Do you feel the same? Tell me more. I wish I could do a girl voice. Suddenly she takes both my hands in hers. Half leads, half drags me deeper, further into that impossible blackness. I follow without hesitation. Faint images, words, voices seem to swirl around us, but vanish like fog into a darkness that has no sound nor feeling. What surrounds us, as unknowable as it is infinite, it somehow is achingly, intimately familiar. Finally, something appears before me with perfect clarity. Beautiful. Ink black ebony, polished to a mirror shine. An intricately carved bench with a velvet seat. A perfect row of ivory keys, white like teeth. My piano, I say with wonder. I touch the keys with tenderness, as if the instrument were an old treasured friend with whom I never expected to be reunited. Sound from its notes is rich, warm, and envelops me like velvet. Piano. The plush seat welcomes me once again as I begin to play, fingers taking their turn to dance across the keys. A reprise of the waltz my body just performed. They move with joy in their reunion, take delight as the fountain of emotion within me cascades to my very fingertips. I sense, but do not see, the figure in white watching, listening, drinking of the music of my feelings, savoring my desires. The melody is flawed, the chords imperfect, but it is mine. Last diminuendo, I let the keys fall silent. Thank you very much. The sound of applause jolts me out of my seat. I turn around looking for the lady in white. I find not her, not blackness, but my sister! Bravo! Chris? I can do nothing but stare out, stunned. Kid? Are you alright? I'm sorry I recorded you playing. I should have asked, I know, but you always freeze up. Is it really you? How? Wasn't I just... Am I... Have I crossed the shore? Kid, what in the world are you talking about? You've gone pale as a sheet. Chris, I've missed you so much. I nearly crash into my sister as I bury her in my arms. Feel the tickle of lace against my nose. Breathe in the sweet scent of her lily perfume. She really is here. Goodness me, kid. Is your first term at university really that awful? I missed you too, but I never imagined you'd be in tears to come home. She says, awkwardly patting my back. I free her from my embrace and look at my surroundings. I stand in the music room within the castle. Frost lines the sunlit windows. Heavy curtains drawn back to a view of the sorry gardens outside. I'm home. Chris stands in front of me, her face touched with concern, but smiling. The phonograph beside her looks brand new, its brass horn polished and shining. Was everything a dream? Everything else a dream? For the past 3 agonizing years, simply a long, horrible nightmare. The sudden knocking shatters the peaceful silence and breaks apart my thoughts. Oh, that must be Father. He arrived just after you did. He said he was looking for you. Father. Before she can answer it, I grab her hand, not conscious of my own movement. Kid? No. Don't open it. Kid, why are you... No. Please. Don't open the door. Chris is gone. So is the room, the knocking, the door. And I sob. I sink down into the nothingness of the void and sob. I lose her again, but equally from relief. And the shameful thought draws out my cries even further, until the well of my being is dry beyond bone, and I have nothing but an emptiness housed within emptiness. Are you cold, Adele? No. Not while you're here. You are warmth. The tips of your fingers to the well of your heart, like veins of a leaf cascading from its stem. If summer, that time of wonder unknown to me, is warm, you must be what summer is like. Is it you I adore? Or is it the iron that flows through your veins what I cannot tear myself away from? Iron in your veins. Ooh. I'm glad. Hold on, just a little while longer. This writing got no business being this hard, bro. These are bars. All of it. I awaken from with a violent start, gasping for air. Breathe, kid. Just breathe. Inhale. Exhale. I sit, my eyes shut, repeating the motion for several moments before I open them again. The candle is still lit. I haven't been adrift long. I feel like I've waited through half-remembered dreams for eternity. The then presence still lingers around my mind, shrouding my thoughts and even my body with leaden weariness. My limbs feel like they are made of fog. Dark splotches cover the open page of the journal lying on my lap. A cold flash of panic cuts through me like ice. Fear that I've ruined the tome with some spilled wine. But I find the pages dry and intact, caked with a metallic tang of iron. Gingerly, I touch my face and find dried blood on the bridge between my nose and lips, dribbled down my chin. Not mine, but simply my lifeblood. Relief. I wipe myself as best I can with the back of my sleeve. I dimly remember the last time I had a nosebleed, as a child, crying and making a mess of my mother's shawl. I haven't much time left. Sighing, I pick up the pen again with an unsteady hand. We lost her in the spring. Can't. Even now, even years after, knowing that I have to put these words to paper stops my hand and weighs my chest down like stone. Stop running, Kit. You have to see this through. You can't pretend it never happened. Because your mind may be muddled, but your heart will never forget. This chronicle was supposed to be one of my innocence. This feels more a confession of my guilt. I had never lived. Would my sister now be alive and happy and well? God, I wonder what happened. I bury my head, but it doesn't stop the images from entering my mind, burning behind my eyelids. Chris smiling in her saddle, petting Comet's back mane as the wind catches the ribbon in her hair. I said I wished I could hear your voice again. If you could speak to me now from the other shore. Even if you said you hated me. But no, I failed you. But you failed me too. You said you would always protect me. But when you were gone, there was no one to look out for me but myself. I wasn't strong like you. Couldn't save anyone, least of all my own soul. Look where I ended up. I'm on my feet before I realize it again, fumbling unsteady toward the shelf that holds her voice in a small cylinder. Her voice, trapped here for so long, as I will be as well. I awkwardly replace the cylinder on the phonograph like she once showed me, and slowly wind it up again. I'm back. Is it my turn? Oh, spirits, who left this recording? I wipe my eyes with the bloody sleeve and smile weakly despite the bitterness and despair that threatens to overflow. Her voice a single fragile dam to its flood. I'm sorry for being such a pathetic sibling. I know you would tell me to get on with it. I will. I won't fail you this time. I sigh deeply as I pick up the handle and steel myself for the walk back. I move at a crawl's pace, inch by inch. Seemed to have made a mess the last time I took a turn around the place, spying fallen metal cans glinting the floor. I carefully maneuver so as not to trip over them. Yet, despite my caution, I nearly bump into the chest. Fearful of dropping the candle, I place a hand on its rough wooden edge and steady myself for a few moments. The skeleton looks up at me all the while. Apologies. It's hard not to run into each other when we've only so much space to share. I suddenly want to laugh out loud. At this moment, finding a corpse in the cellar seems like one of the least unlikely things that should happen to poor, unlucky Kit Winter. Forgive the thought, my friend, that you might be the only person I couldn't bring ruin to, seeing the state you're already in. You forgive me for how I've pestered you, won't you? I am mad after all. As I glance around the darkness of the cellar, I think of the wine-soaked pages of my journal. It's the smallest of mercies, but a mercy still, that I am given a chance to settle my affairs, perform my own rites, in a manner before the final shore calls me. Though I have not heard of them being performed while the departed still drew breath. I suddenly imagine ghostly barristers appearing out of the mist, informing me too late of my transgressions, and chuckle at the thought. How lucky I am, aren't I, my friend? Though I imagine it was not the same for you. Glance down at the bony companion in the chest. Who were you? I wonder, my fingers absently tracing the outline of the box. Did anyone light a candle for you? Did they miss you? Remember you? Know that you were gone? There is no answer. Well, rest assured that you aren't alone, my dear. If even a soul remained that cared for me, well, I wouldn't be here performing this farce of funeral rites myself. I'd laugh long and joylessly. That's... I like that quote. I laugh long and joylessly. I will be using that. Moments pass before I look into her steak-filled eye sockets again. Don't be sour, my dear. I won't forget you, whoever you are. I promise. When my chronicle is complete, I'll light one last candle for the both of us. I give the box one last friendly pat, and stand, taking my candle, my own bones aching as I return to my journal. Grit my teeth and wipe the tears off my cheek as I begin to write. We lost her in the spring. It was Mares of 664. I had just returned home from Limburn for the Equinox Festival. The morning was clear with nary a cloud. The first blossoms budded cautiously in the trees. It was a gorgeous day. I wanted to take Stella, my gray mare, out for a ride. I begged Chris to come with me. Only I hadn't. Light of the air. Cold and distant sun high above. The new buds in the trees. I remembered these things, but precious little else about that day. What was she wearing? Surely blue. But what shade? Did she have her old cloak on? The day was cold enough, wasn't it? Was her hair in a braid, or had she pinned it up? All was well, until the fog rolled in, blown in by sudden, forceful winds. Near the woods when something scared our horse, terrified him. He bolted off, my sister dragged along in his saddle. I urged Stella after them. No amount of coaxing or force could shake her terror or move her from her spot. We searched for hours, that much I know. The weather worsened, turned to storm. At times I close my eyes and hear thunder. Others I see nothing but the faint outline of trees cloaked in fog and silence. And then, scream. I was the one who found her horse. Riderless, wild like he was possessed. He galloped off into the wood when he saw me, never to be seen again. Father found her. I never pressed him for details. He never shared. But he never looked at me the same way again. It rained at her wake, despite looking clear the same morning. I wasn't in my right mind. Thought I saw her in the water. I waded out to the lake. Father thought I was trying to drown myself. Perhaps I should have. The fall would only lead to this. I stop a moment to collect myself, taking slow, deep breaths. So, do you blame yourself? You know, it's not surprising that he would blame himself in the circumstance. It's very easy to say it's not your fault. How could you predict that a normal horse ride would result in your sister's death? You know, you can't really do that, but of course the thought would linger, right? Like, I never invited her out, she wouldn't have died. It hurts to exhale too quickly, like the air is filled with knives. My memory is like a window pane, fractured so badly I cannot see through the cobweb of its cracks, only where the shards have fallen out. Some pieces I desperately want to look through, obscured to me. Others are painfully clear and cut as sharply as glass. My shame, most days of my life, I wished I could board up the window entirely and remember nothing at all. And that guilt is as much a part of me as my own heart, closer than a dagger plunged into my chest. I can never withdraw without bleeding out. My mother's condition worsened soon after. It was as if that day were a dark star in her memory that could never form, never take shape, that swallowed everything else she knew if it dared too close. Some days she thought I was my sister. It was as if Kit didn't exist, never existed at all. As if he were a fiction, imaginary friend. It means she always loved me less? The answer to that question could never perturb, never matter to me, because I couldn't care less. I'd gladly be uncherished, unloved, hated, a miserable shadow, if it would bring her back, if it meant it never happened in the first place. The Kit did exist. I continued to exist instead of her, and knowing that made it impossible to remain Kit Winter. I wanted to be anyone else, anywhere other than that crumbling castle of the mist. I couldn't stay. After pleading, begging, and bribing, finally I entrusted my mother into my aunt's care. I told them I would take a semester abroad, that I would write. I made sure a colleague would forward any letters to whatever address I landed myself at, though I expected no correspondence. I knew some would call me irresponsible, uncouth, cruel, and worse behind my back. When did they ever bother hiding such words in my presence? In that time, I couldn't bring myself to feel anything at all, let alone concern over something so pathetic. I hardly packed. I wore a nondescript coat, the spare one lent to me by Gerard, our elderly steward. Then I boarded a train across the border to Vienna. Unlike the train ride that took me to my first term for study, this time there was no one to see me off. Is he falling asleep again? Wouldn't be surprising. This is going on for way longer than I thought. Not that I didn't really have a problem with it. It's just some games. I've actually played a couple more visual novel games that I just did not upload because they were like extremely short. So I just shocked. Hey, but when the writing's looks good, who cares? Lord Whitehurst. This must be father. If there's anything you need, write to me. I'll have it taken care of. Father claps me on my back. A little too roughly, but I am glad to have him here. These days he's often away from Whitehurst. It will be strange not to see him for months, as I embark on my own journey away from home. I will, rest assured. Taken care of. Of course you will, but what means? You play a farce of a man, of a husband, and now you pretend you fill the role of father? Tell me I deserve it. Tell me I'll never measure up to what a son should be, just as you never did. You write to me, Kit. I'll be bored to death without you. My sister gives me a quick, tight hug before passing me on to Mother. I can never be perfect like you. Never compare to you. Never be loved like you. If I had died instead, would I be the one remembered without fault? Without flaw? Would they clutch to you, sob? Well, I'm sorry, would they clutch you and sob, saying, "Thank the spirits it was him and not you"? I'm sure you're excited to be off on your own, dear. But let us know how you're doing. Mother's arms look frail as new branches as she reaches up to me. I easily tower above her, and it is a strange and comfortable feeling. She seems so small in my arms. You'll be in my thoughts every moment. I'll be fine, Mother. He's not a child now, dear. He's only off so far as Lindbergh for his studies, not the other side of the world. A mother's heart can't help but fly wherever her children go. You smothered me. You broke me, yet never protected me. I had to protect you, suffer for you. The hatchling ripping out its own feathers and cloth of parents. How could I ever be free to grow my wings? Please don't worry. I'll take care of myself. I miss you all. Look after Franny as well, dear. Fran stifles a cough as my mother turns to him. Aunt Sophie, I'll be fine, he says as he awkwardly returns her embrace. I'll be sure to. Once we've boarded and settled into our private passenger car, I got to the window to look out at my family still on the platform, waving back at me as the train departs from the station. They stay there for a long time, even when they turn into tiny, blurry specks in the distance. Are you going to ignore me the whole journey? I don't look up from the text I'm reading. I thought we had an agreement. I don't disturb you, and you don't disturb me. It's disturbing how you can act like I'm not here. Are you comfortable on your throne, Your Highness? Taking up precious air? Forgive me, but perhaps I'm just not fond of pointless conversation. You should box him. I turned the page. You know, if you'd come down from the clouds every now and then, maybe you'd find other people as interesting as instruments or books. I'm sure you're precisely correct. Flip. Did you think I didn't know what pain or wretched solitude was? All this misery could have been avoided had you seen me as an equal and not a shadow to eliminate. Now they blame me for what you did. Are you happy lying in the grave? You can't be bothered. This blasted train has given me a headache. What are you reading anyways? Flick through the black and white sheets of the paid newspaper, outlining Princess Helena's marriage to the neighboring king in all too much detail. The pages crumple, wilt under their own weight in my hands, like they are suddenly soaked in water. The letters darken and blur. Heir to the throne dies. The murky headline now reads. I throw the sheets away from my hand like they are set aflame. Spirits, what's gotten into you? Read something so awful it assailed your poor eyes? Franz picks up the crumpled, perfectly dry newspaper. What happened? Was I daydreaming? Let's see. Princess Maria Helena married King Victor of Vienne on the 1st of August, giving up her claim to the throne. Still going on about the wedding. Don't the papers have anything else to write about? Why are you so interested anyhow? Are you hoping a prince will come carry you away? I blink, shaking off the strange episode. I dislike the implications. The ruler of our most enduring enemy, now His Majesty's son-in-law? Perhaps he was simply using it as a chance to make peace. Besides, they seem happy enough. He shrugs. You think that tyrant would marry for love? Things are fraught enough with the king's only living son acting like a reckless... Stop, you sound like my father. Just waiting for a problem to blow up. Like father, like son. Speaking of, why didn't your parents see you off? There was a flash of discomfort in his eyes I did not intend to provoke. Not be unhappy about either. My father is a busy man. My father was a stinker. I couldn't bother him with something like this. Mother's holidaying in the south, remember? He replies, not meeting my gaze. He sets the newspaper aside, pulls something out of his coat pocket. Come on, stop reading that rubbish and play around with me, he says, opening a pack of cards and fanning them over the table with a flourish. Sensing he won't leave me alone otherwise, I acquiesce with a sigh. Fine. The game passes with a melancholy air. My cousin was never one who disliked losing, even in petty diversions such as cards. He hardly shrugs as I claim victory in the first round. He only quietly shuffles the deck again, dealing a new hand with a distant look in his eyes. I can't recall the last time we were alone together in relative peace, passing the minutes without sparring or deflecting jabs and insults. It doesn't last. It feels strange not having your sister around. I look up from my hand. I can see Chris in my mind's eye, waving from the platform, becoming smaller and smaller as the train speeds away from the station. It's not as if we can spend our whole lives side by side, I say, ignoring the knot in my stomach. I hate to admit that he's right. I've never spent more days, perhaps a week or two apart from my sister. But now, I wouldn't see her for months. I couldn't imagine it. Being a twin, I mean. Having a second me wandering around. We're siblings, not copies. I know that. If you were a girl, though, I wouldn't be able to tell you apart. Wait, no, I could. You'd always be the more annoying one. I'm in agreement about you being an only child. I'm glad I don't have more cousins. He snorts, fiddles with the cards in his hand. Do you ever wonder about it, though? If you've been born to someone else, or a girl like Chris? Blink. I can't say I have. Why should I? I'm quite happy being her brother. That much is true. As for whether I wish to be Kit, the scion of winter... Oh. Didn't think I was gonna get an option here. Bang, 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 bang. Only I was better suited to this role, imagining others' lives was pointless. I never wanted to be born. Only I was better suited to this role. He doesn't think a whole lot of himself. Imagining others' lives was pointless. No, because he's a thinker. I don't think this is true to him. We're gonna go with if only I was better suited to this role. Nobility is bred, not taught. That is what I'd always been told. Why did it never feel true in my case? The rhythm of the court, tempo of society. Supposedly I was born for both. But rarely was I ever able to move along to this tune. Its tune. I had no natural graces nor charm, no gift for sweet words. I could hardly gain the favor of a tree branch, let alone another person. Wit I lacked. Confidence I found wanting. Poise I carried myself with was due only to my dim-witted slowness at showing any feeling at all. I was utterly unlike my sister, so beloved, capable, and talented. Few people ever spared me a second glance, while she could steal the entire room's attention. Sometimes it felt like an accident, a misfortune that I'd been born at all. Like I was her imperfect copy, unlike in every way except appearance. I not wish, or wonder, if I could have been born somebody else entirely. I quickly returned to the game to distract myself from my cousin's vexing question. It looks like I win again, I smirk. Don't look so smug, I was just warming up. Play a few more rounds and settle into other diversions, passing the journey in silence afterward. The rugged rhythm of the train over the tracks, steady as a heartbeat, is a rough but soothing sound. I relax my eyelids. It isn't long before I'm lulled into hazy dreams. A weight lies on my chest. I struggle to breathe. I'm enveloped in darkness. My limbs are stiff when moving. I lie on my back, feel nothing beneath me. The only sound in my ears is the crashing of endless waves over an infinite sea. My hands frame my face, cold like ice, formless as mist, stroking my hair, trying vainly to soothe me. Frozen lips pressed on my forehead, soft as a sigh, leave me shivering helplessly. I can't see her face. I remember her touch. I am bloodless, but not hollow. I have lived and danced and loved, full of memory and feeling, ripe for the harvest she seeks to reap. I cannot deny her. I took her hand. Please, I gasp, finding my voice. She brings her lips to my throat. Cold pinpricks puncture me like thorns. My essence leaves me, swirling around us, becoming one with the mists of an unending sea. There are tears in my eyes. Why does it hurt to give these pieces of myself away? Why don't I not do so freely? I'll be gone soon, less than dust. Can it be that I still hold them close to my heart? Like the fragile scraps of tenderness that I refuse to yield to anyone but myself. The shards embedded in the depths of my psyche. Buried presences. Buried presences I can never touch lest I be bled. She partakes of my essence. So too do I feel the faintest echo of hers. She devours not only to sate herself, but in search of something. Recognition. Remembrance. Recollections of herself in my memories. You. Remember me. She searches hungrily, sifting through thoughts and images, sounds and sensations. Every bite, every drink of me is a scene I'm forced to live, to repeat. I see. My sister and I as children, my cousin asleep in a train car, girl, what? I see cousin asleep in the train car, my sister and I as children. Let's do that. So everybody's gonna think of me as a scene I'm forced to repeat. I feel like his preference would be my sister and I as children. We're gonna do that. Some are formless as the mist, while others walk in human skin. Some will eat your flesh and blood, or steal your thoughts from deep within. Some wear human skin? Ew. If that's true, how do we know you're really our mom then? I shriek and drop the feathered mask I'm holding. No, I don't want to be I don't want mom to be a monster. I hate this holiday. I cry. What if you what if you're secretly a Mistwalker too, scaredy cat? My sister laughs. Stop it. Mother scoops me into her arms. I bury my head against her chest. Kit. Chrissy, that's enough. Would a monster wake you up every morning and tuck you in the bed every night? Would she bring you your favorite snacks or teach you to play songs on the piano? Sorry, Mama. Mistwalkers won't hurt you, my loves. It's simply a rhyme. Now, Chrissy, don't tease your brother. You're the older one. Okay. And Kit, you need to be braver. You're a boy. When you grow up, you have to protect your sister. But she's mean. Why are you being mean? Mother strokes my hair with soft, perfumed hands. One day, you'll realize how lucky you are to have each other. But now, let's finish looking for our harvest costume, shall we? Excited to delve into the mysterious pile of fabrics and garments, strange and wonderful masks in grandfather's old closet. My fright is already forgotten. Chris laughs as she digs through the chest, naturally drawn to the most gruesome visages. The crimson mask of Camilla, the hood of the ferryman, the shroud of the Red Death, and a cat's face with realistic fur and eyes a little too lifelike. She giggles as the beaked mask of the plague doctor slides off her head and wears it as a conical hat instead. I reach for a Tin Knight's helmet at the bottom of the chest, thinking of stories of the knights that lived in this very castle long ago. Mom said I have to be brave. Papa said I have to be strong. I try to put it on with my small hands, but it is obviously too large, nearly a breadth of my shoulders. And I've turned it the wrong way about, so that the eye slots open to the back of my head. The helmet lifts from my head as Chris pulls it off, laughing at me. It's way too big, silly. Or were you trying to hide in there? I wasn't hiding. Oh, okay, I believe you, scaredy cat. But it's okay if you were, because I'm not scared of anything. I can be brave enough for both of us, she grins. In that moment, I believed her. Okay. Kit, come here, I found something you might like. One calls from behind a pile of brightly patterned fabrics. Her eagerly, all worries forgotten. The warm sounds of my sister's laughter in my ears. I lie motionless, gasping. I feel lighter with every sip that passes her lips, every moment that could as easily be an eternity. In a strange, somber way, it soothes me, drifting in a state that is neither sleep nor death, nor dream, floating on nothing but soft waves that beckon to a distant shore and farther sea. The past 3 years I thought I lived as a hollow shell, but it was wrong. How could true emptiness be this blissful? Voices and images from around me, evanescent and pale, swirling like snow, yet gentler than the winters I knew in that crumbling castle of stone. A sharp pang runs through me at the recollection of those tall towers, that pale so strange yet achingly familiar. Why do I feel this way? Didn't I recognize the castle I lived in all my life? I realize these feelings are not mine alone. Her presence above me against my throat ebbs with the afterglow of her own thoughts and memories. Every taste leaves a trace of herself behind, like pen strokes imprinted on a page. Who are you? How do you know this place? I croak. There is no reply as she continues to search. Unsated, confusion and frustration growing wilder, bordering near despair. I try to move my phantom limbs. I find I can only barely lift my fingers. Struggle, resist, wake up, wake up, wake up, lie still, let her feast. Seems he wants something to say here. I would lie still and let her feast. But I just want to see what happens. Struggle, resist, wake up, wake up, wake up. I can hardly lift my hand. Can't force her weight off of me. Can I pull her down with me instead? Still my phantom lungs, eyes, and fill my heart with the heaviest thoughts I can conjure. Dark stars of my being, my memory, willing their gravity to weigh me down and rend me apart. Fangs leave my throat. It hurts. It hurts. I'm burning. I can feel the molten lead pour from the cavity in my chest like ichor, melting every vein in my hollowing form. Hot droplets force themselves from my eyelids as icy ones, hers, land on my face. In this void where all are bloodless, somehow we still shed tears. I'm thinking. I lash out violently and find I can move my arms at last. I grasp her wrists and pull her close, tight, following with me in another macabre dance. Down beneath the waves, until all is soundless, dark and deep. I awaken on the cellar floor, rough stone beneath me. A weight lies on my chest. Something is in my arms. Cool, hard, hollow, and brittle. I open my eyes and stare back into a human skull. The skeleton is on top of me, enveloped and enveloping me in a chilling embrace. And then I lose my senses. Are you cold, Adele? No. Not while you're here. I'm glad. Hold on just a little while longer. He smiles and takes my hand, unbothered by the dark crimson stains on my fingers. His heart beats too loudly with excitement to care. My pulse seems to weaken my own. I'm sated. Fresh iron makes me giddy with wonder. It bubbles beneath my skin, flush with newfound warmth. Ahead, great spires of stone gleam in the moonlight, climbing tall as the forest trees. The familiar peaks I had seen so often from the far side of the lake. So this was a castle. This is where I'll hide you over winter. Be difficult. Too difficult. Half the halls aren't in use. If anyone hears something, I think it's a ghost, or a mistwalker. I finish. I'm a little confused. So this is our character, right? Our main protag. Kit. And I guess this Adele person must be a vampire? So he must have like found this person and brought them here. Indeed, Mist Queen. I'm sorry, what did that say? Indeed, my Mist Queen, he replies. You were the one who looks like you came from the mist, I think. Watching his silver hair gleam like gossamer? Sorry, gossamer in the night? What is gossamer? You're the one who's, I think, watching him. Sorry. It's the sliver of a moon reflected in his pale blue eyes. Unlike the miss, his hand around mine is warm. Hold on to it tightly, never once looking back. Oh, it's the end of the demo. I completely forgot this was a demo. It went on for so long. Oh, nice. Open the dev. Hey, you received the demo. Thank you so much for playing. I'm Ellie, the solo dev behind Kit. I don't know if it's Ellie or Eli. I'm just gonna go ahead and say Ellie. If you'd like to keep up to date with the project, feel free to check out my Twitter and Tumblr pages on itch.io. Any questions, comments, etc., please let me know in the places I mentioned. Thanks again for making it this far, I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoy the final version of Kit when it comes out. Until then, have a good one. Nice. Well, I guess we really won't be able to get any endings right now, obviously, because it's a demo, and I just spaced on that. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna end the video here, but I'm gonna go back myself and see at least the differences between dialogue and what we do, and upload that separately. Made it this far. Thanks for watching so much. I know it was a little wordy. Again, I apologize for my voice acting. I'm not very good. You know, maybe I should work on a girl's voice off screen. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Adios.